everybody, this is Amanda from Midwest to Metropolis, and this week I'd like to tell you about beginnings. We all have beginnings, whether we consider them our first steps into high school, our first, steps into the world, or something else. But for me personally, my first steps were in my Japanese classes. Obviously, I'm going to Japan in under 30 days now, which is very exciting, and Japan and Japanese in general has been a big part of my life. But obviously I didn't start out with Japanese. I started out, normal American education. I actually took Spanish for a few years. I dabbled in French and a little bit of German in middle school. But it wasn't until high school that Japanese was offered to me. Even though in middle school I was interested in Japan and Japanese and I had started learning it on my own. However, my middle school didn't offer Japanese classes, which was unfortunate. This post might be a little touchy-feely, as beginnings sometimes are. I remember going back, well, I guess I should say going back, the me that was in high school was shy, timid, didn't have a lot of friends, and the only thing I really looked forward to was my Japanese class. But I had no idea who was going to teach it, and really no idea how much it was going to impact my life. I remember freshman year, first day, walking into Japanese 101, sitting down. It wasn't a large classroom, but it was definitely interestingly decorated. Kind of like my room. It had kimono on the wall, it had anime, it had pretty much a little bit of everything of Japan in it. And I remember I was really quiet. I sat in the front because you can't tell, but I need glasses and I can't see very well. So I wanted to make sure I could see and absorb everything. And I remember being really nervous. It was my first high school class. And then walked in Peterson Sensei, and I was terrified. I was a shy freshman girl, and Sensei was not a shy freshman girl, obviously. He was loud, he was boisterous, and he made everything an adventure. And I remember sitting in that classroom that first day. He walks in, and at first he was quiet, and then he just looks at us all and goes, "Kirit." And we're first year Japanese students. We're like, what? What does this mean? And he just looks at us and he keeps going, "Kirit," with this little hand raising motion. And finally we got it. We stood up, and then he said "Rei," which means bow. So we finally figured out how to bow, and then "Chakuseki," which means sit down. I was freaking out in my head. I was like, oh my god, how is this going to work? And then he actually started to talk, and it was amazing how much intelligence, how much fun he was making it. The first day went by way too fast. He made everything fun, but still I was terrified. For one, he majored in music. So he was a theater major, imagine that, and I was this shy little girl in my baggy clothes, and I went home and I almost started crying. I was like, this won't work. How is this going to work? I don't know how this is going to work. He's going to expect me to talk and expect participation. How is this going to work? But I got through it, and one day turned into two turned into three, and soon enough it was weeks later, and I was still shy and he still scared the crap out of me. But it was amazing, and I look at moments of that first class, when we studied samurai and Sensei Peterson dressed up as a samurai and scared everybody by lurking behind a door and rushing out at us. Or how much that class changed my life. I went from being this shy introvert to, I wasn't exactly boisterous, but I could definitely be loud when I needed to. And Sensei Peterson taught me a lot about myself, about Japanese, and just how to live life to the fullest. And he made me into such a confident person, and just really, the drive that I had going into that class was only magnified. And I think about all the lessons I learned. I mean, eventually I was the only girl, and it was a smaller class full of rambunctious guys, and I learned how to hold my own in, a man-orientated field. I learned how to speak up for myself, to be proud of what I loved, to want to learn Japanese, to be more interested in it than I ever thought I'd ever be, and to just continue to feel my drive. We did a play. I dressed up as a monkey and actually, got on stage and did lines in both English and Japanese. I made friends, I went out more, and I just broadened my horizons through that class. It saved my life. Before that time, I wasn't doing so well. I mean, I mentioned I was shy, I was an introvert. I suffered with anorexia and depression during that period. I suffered with not being understood, with hard times at home. And that class gave me something that I've never had before. I hadn't had to that point. And that was a safe place to go and to just be and be surrounded by things that I loved and surrounded by people that actually understood me. And it saved my life in so many ways. It was that one thing that I could look forward to each and every day. That one thing that, I mean, there's no other way to say it other than Sensei Peterson and his class saved my life. He created and molded me into the person I am today. And I have nothing but thanks for that. I have the memories of that class, the things we did, the field trips we went on, going to Indie, to second-hand bookstores, or going to Indie to eat at Sakura, this great Japanese restaurant, and surrounded by these people and by Sensei Peterson. And at the end of the day, I have to say thank you. You made my life how it is today. You gave me the courage to stand up not only for myself, but what I believed in, to be okay with being different, to realize that just because you aren't like everyone else, it doesn't mean that you don't matter or that you're wrong. You are just different, and that's okay. And it's a little mushy, and I'm trying not to cry, but there's no greater gift that I could have been given than what Sensei Peterson gave to me. That acceptance and that love and that safe place to go when anything went wrong, that hope, that light, and I thank him for that. And I'm sorry it was a little mushy today. Expect more of these. There are a lot of people who have helped me become the person I am today and help me start on this road to Japan and studying abroad. And I'd like to take the time to thank those people because I think they deserve it. So, until next week, this is Amanda from Midwest to Metropolis. Catch you later.